guys, I'm back with a Clan story, which is going to be the not 11, I don't know where 11 came from, but with the 900 subscriber special, I am going to read all parts of this. There are not a lot of parts because, I know it's going to take me a while to just read one page of this because usually a page is roughly around 15 minutes for Wattpad, so yeah. And this story is called Nothing's Fair in Love and War. And you can already see a little smut, but barely anything warning. Other than that, let's get started. Oh yeah, there is going to be ads, and I can't read nor speak properly. And if there's any background noise, sorry. I know it's like 10 over here, but people yell. Anyway, enough with the long ass intro. Let's get started. Keith wasn't feeling too good. He felt nauseous and vomited already twice in a single day. His body felt like a I hate speaking. And his palms are very sweaty and clammy. He had minor headaches and felt so weak and useless. He explained to Shiro and explained to Laura, who explained to the other paladin. Lance naturally was concerned for his boyfriend. After missions, he would find him curled up in his room with a shirt and jacket, and Lance would always care for him. He would bring him cold food to bring down the heat. He always smelled funny, a sweet cinnamon rose book pages type of smell. It was weird but nice. Every now and then, Keith would transform halfway, only his ears and tail shuffling and flickering while he slept. It was all fine. Almost a week passed and no one had idea what was what Keith was going through. On the seventh day, was there something starting to go wrong, and I mean very wrong. Oh, yeah, fuck that, I guess. Very wrong. Lance hummed as he walked to Keith's room. He was carrying a basket full of his shirts, the perfect kind, coming right out of the dirty and were nice and warm. Lance sniffed them and didn't smell like him, and Keith always needed a nest in Lance's clothes because of his smell. Would that be a problem, or would he just be fine? Lance shrugged. Just find his hope. hoped. He stood at the door. He tried to open it. It wouldn't budge. Lance frowned. Keith, are you in there? He heard a grumble, and Lance put down the basket, crossed his arms, and pouted. Keith, I know you're in there. Why is the door locked? And how did you do that? He finally heard a voice. Corinne, now go away. It was raspy and muffled. Lance gasped dramatically. Keith, how could you? I cared for you and you liked it. How dare you treat me with such disrespect? Keith, let me in. Keith growled. No, you can't come in. It's dangerous. Lance rolled his eyes, forgetting Keith couldn't see him. I'm sure everything's fine. I got you my shirts, Keith. I didn't say anything. If you don't unlock the door, I'm going to find a way to do so myself. Keith still didn't do anything. Lance fiddled with the lock and the door. Not speaking properly. Yay. Open. When Lance stepped in, Keith's scent hit him like a wall. It's like a slap to his face. The scent overwhelmed him. He needed desperate help. Lance froze, not knowing what's going on. The scent smell was electricity. I can't speak or read properly. He smelled. Keith. Suddenly, a force knocks him back, grabbing his shoulder and pinning him to the ground. Lance looked up at Keith on top of him. He was a beautiful sight. His pitch black hair darting over his face. His face was completely flushed. His breath was raged. His mouth formed a pointed frown, as if he was racing something to show off his fangs. His eyes were furrowed durably, and his eyes, when Lance looked into them, all he could see was that Keith was blind with lust and want. The door was already closed, and the room was dark. But the pile of clothing Keith nested in was noticeable. Lance bit his lip. He knew this face. Keith grabbed on was strong and powerful, too powerful for Lance. He needed to calm him down. He spoke quietly and full of love. Hey there, space cowboy. What's wrong, kitten? How are you feeling? The sweet sound of his voice and pet names made Keith collapsed into Lance's arm as he sat up. His hands were still grabbing his shirt, not as much. It was weak. Lance kissed the top of his boyfriend's head. Keith usually purred or hummed, but now he was shivering. A shiver trailed up his spine. Is my baby boy not feeling well at all? Keith shivered again, and he nuzzled into the cord of Lance's neck. His lips were warm and blushed against his collarbone. Lance's breathing hitched, and he whispered, "Fuck." Keith purred in content, proud of himself. He ghosted his fingers over Lance's V-line. Lance grit his teeth. Keith continued to chill kisses on Lance's slick neck. "Nah, kitten, what are you doing?" Keith's eyes widened when he heard the pet name. He went wild. He looked up and crashed his lips. I'm guessing that says onto instead onto, not unto. Lance kissed him deeply. He tilted his head, and the tip of his tongue appeared, brushing Lance's bottom lip. Keith passed his hand up Lance's shirt as the kiss deepened. Lance separated from him, and Keith winced at the loss of warmth. "Keithy, what's going on?" Keith realized what he was doing, and shyly, he forcefully pushed himself off of Lance. "Sorry, I don't know what got over me." Lance smiled. He liked it when Keith went soft. "It's not that. It's just that you're really flushed. Not flustered. Don't ask how I got flustered out of flushed. I don't know." Anyway, he placed his hand on Keith's forehead and wiped his bangs to the side. Keith winced, and Lance frowned. Keith looked at him with that yeah, I'm not gonna try. Fuck words. But kept himself at a distance. Oh wait, does that say desperate? Am I being stupid? Yeah, I'm being stupid. Anyway, back to where I was. I've been feeling weird. I'm really warm and sweaty and past normal temperatures. I keep on wearing your scent because it feels right. And I have a strong desperate for Strange, desperate for Keith looked at him and couldn't help himself. He put his hand on his thumb and fucking speaking. There we go. Furrowed his eyebrows and his lips were pierced. Ew. Lance's face turned red while his boyfriend had been sleeping. Lance went to the library and found some books on Garas. They go through a thing that's got 8, and they have a very strong desperate for their mate sexually. It didn't say fuck reading, because most books were burned from the Dictionary of Otea. Lance started to crawl in front of Keith and pushing him to the ground, pinning him. Keith let out a soft but loud moan, and his tail swooshed excitedly. Fuck, Lance. What's going on? He cut him off, kissing him deeply and pushing his shirt up. Keith's hand trailed up and clasped Keith's ear. Lance's ears, not Keith's ears. I'm mixing up names. I don't know why. Lance felt the warmth of Keith's skin. He still looked human, but his tail was out. Keith felt dizzy. He felt needy. He was driven by instinct, but pushed Lance off slightly, and his fingers to his lips, stopping him. What's going on? Lance said, "You're in heat, and you need me to help you." Keith's eyes widened, and somehow his face became redder. "That's fine, Buff said, but you said you wanted your first time to be special." Lance smiled and kissed his neck softly, teasing Keith. "Every moment with you is special." Keith winced, whimpered under Lance's touch. Why do I keep on mixing up the goddamn names? Anyway, he let out a breathy laugh. "Okay, let's do it." The next day, Keith threw up a lot. He threw up for almost a month after the night he and Lance made love. He felt incredibly sick, but the heat was gone, so that's good, right? Keith did everything to stop feeling sick. He took medication, ate healthy. Allura managed to convince him to sleep more. Nothing worked. Keith walked down the hall, shaking his head. He couldn't believe I'm going to do this. He went to Laura's room that was unoccupied and grabbed a pregnancy test. He stared at it for a long time before Laura Curran gave Laura a pregnancy test and all kinds of emergency things which she never had to use, but Keith never thought he would. I'm going crazy. He ran back to his room, and into the bathroom. He looked at the test and thinking he was an idiot. He checked it, and his eyes widened as he gasped. Positive? How the hell is that possible? There has to be some mistake. Besides, pregnancy tests, they're aren't always reliable. Keith refused to believe it, so secretly set up a meeting with someone who answered him. He would totally say it's not possible. It's possible. Garo males can't when they get in their heat. They can get pregnant if they may love with the same gender. It's very common, Gravel said, deadly pendant. Keith stared at him. Please tell me you're kidding. Gravel raised his eyebrows. What's kidding? Keith groaned. This is really embarrassing, but can I take a 100% accurate pregnancy test? Graham managed to smile a little. The Blue Paladin. Keith's face turned red. Keith's face burned red. Yeah. Graham nodded. Keith entered the pregnancy test thing pod like subjective. Keith and Corinne got it up and running. Corinne hummed and nodded. As he looked at the results and he stepped out the pod, Keith figured negative, and Corinne smiled. It's true. Keith didn't know why, but he smiled. He grinned, and he was genuine. But then he frowned. His eyes widened. He's pregnant with his child, with Lance. What's Lance going to say? He's going to be furious. It's on my fault. Gravon frowned and I'm sure he'll be okay. Keith ran his fingers through his hair. I can't tell him what am I going to do. Gonna didn't say anything. He went back. Keith went back to the castle worried and upset. Lance half convinced but was concerned but didn't question him. A later week, Keith was missing. The paladins looked for him everywhere, but was nowhere to be found. Lance was heartbroken. Someone took him and ran away. Pidge checked all the cameras, and they said they were turned off. There was no signal of a break-in, and Keith can defend himself. He ran away. Why? Lance didn't know. He just knew. I just read that. He was going to find him and never give up on him. He swore it. Little did they know he was making a deal with Gavron to work for the Blade of Bramora after the child was born, and Keith might never see Lance again, would he? The beginning of the story. The beginning of my story. Of my short story. That will be about 6 parts. I hope you enjoy. I should put water up here. That apparently. I really need to bring water whenever I do these videos. This is why we keep water bottles in the rooms. Don't Don't pull me now. Anyway, back to the reading. I know I'm ranting a lot. I don't care. Missing You. 5 years later, Keith walked down the halls of the Blade. His hood was up. He just got back from a mission. It was a small mission, a handful of Gara. He stopped in front of the room. Screaming could be heard inside. He opened the door and heard a yell, "Daddy!" A young boy with dark, sun-kissed skin, dark short hair, and violet eyes ran to Keith and jumped into his arms. He grinned a beautiful smile. Hey, my little comet. Hey, my little comet. I can't say it. It's a fucking falling meteor word. Fucking comet. No, not it. I hate myself for not being able to pronounce that word. I don't give a shit anymore. How was your day? The Gara laughed. I played with Sarah. She's really nice. A young woman, Gara, walked up to Keith and smiled. Keith chuckled. Hey, thank you for taking care of him and the others. Keith looked at the daycare, full of knives and weapons, kids running around. The woman smiled, showing off her fangs. No problem, have a nice day. Keith nodded and carried his son while he told him about his day. The boy squished Keith's face. Enough about me. How was your day? Did the mission go well? Keith laughed and booped his nose. Yeah. Got a lot of bad Garas, the boy cheered. Members of the meet in the central of the immersing meeting. We know you're picking up your kids right now, so just bring them. Yeah, totally not going to be a mistake bringing kids to an immersive meeting. The two males look at each other and click the button for their helmets. Keith set down his boy, and they both ran to the central. They lined up, the kids going to the side, and Keith quickly put his hood over his son's head. Kerville was standing with his arms crossed. Members, we have a new sudden mission. We are going to go into an abandoned garden ship Voltron found. They will come with us, and only a select few have been chosen. Keith shifted when Voltron was mentioned, but then relaxed. Kevin didn't choose Keith to go on a mission when Voltron was in it. I'm not saying those names. Fuck the names. Keith grabbed behind his... Got it. I said this word earlier. Why can't I remember? Gaps behind his mask. He started shaking. Gravel bit his lip. Dismissed. I hate my life. I can't read. Anyway, instead of the guard leaving the room, Keith turned to his son. Hey, buddy, I need you to wait outside for me, okay? The boy nodded and waited outside. Keith took off his mask. What the hell? Why did you choose me? For a million of... There are millions of members that can do it, but... And I can't be seen by Voltron. Gravel shook his head. I didn't choose you. One of the generals did. Not knowing your relationships with Voltron. Keith clenched his fist. Can't you just change it? Gravel shook his head. The general already sent Voltron a list of the members, and I couldn't change it because they already accept it. You'll just be in disguise, and it's your choice to take off your mask. You will go by your code name. Your what type of code name is that anyway? Is that understood? Keith grinded his teeth. Understood, sir. Gravel nodded but frowned. Dismissed. Keith stormed out the room, but the boy walked beside him, knowing not to disturb his father. He just knew to leave Keith alone when he was upset. He was his son after all. Keith took a deep breath, and put on his mask before going out the door. His son traveled behind him, humming very, very quietly. With snooze, Keith calmed down. Soothed Keith, calming him down. He walked to the central. Voltron hasn't arrived yet. Keith's heart was pounding. His son was there to see him off before being dropped off at daycare. He stood by the fallen members who were chosen with him. Their mess scratched all over the place. Keith heard a strong wind and forced the direction it was coming from. Voltron has arrived. Keith almost passed out. If it wasn't for his son holding his hand, the lions landed on the platform of the ship, and they opened their mouths. Shiro came out of the Black Lion, stepping out to greet Krill. Pidge and Hunk came out at the same time. Keith smiled warmly. He forgot how much he missed them. Pidge was still as tiny as ever. Hunk had a smile on his face. Then the blue line came out. Then came the blue line. Keith stared at the paladin, Allura. Allura was wearing pink armor and shuffled while seeing the Gara. She relaxed and called out the red lion. Keith stopped breathing. He started shaking, backing up. Lance. God, he was so beautiful. Gorgeous eyes under his mask. Keith's heart was gone. He cried silently as he saw his state. Lance was wearing a pinned fake smile, and there was huge bags under his eyes. He frowned slightly. When he saw the Gara, Lance took his place. Keith looked down. Thankfully, the mask covered his face. He looked away for a quick second, took off his mask, wiped his tear. The commanded, but then called out, "Members, line up." Keith did so. Did Keith's son behind him. The paladin smiled and waved to the members except Lance, Shiro talked to the leader of the mission. And the other paladins' conversation with other members, having no idea their long lost friend was right there. Keith bent down to face his son. Okay, buddy, I have a mission. It will only take a few hours. I'll be back. Mr. Exo will take you to the daycare, understand? The boy nodded and saluted his father. Understood, sir. Keith laughed. You don't have to do that, you know. I'm your dad. Huh? Dad, huh? That's cool. Keith, that's not how you spell Keith. Keith froze, ready to burst into tears and run away. He glanced back with a slight tear falling down. The mask covered it up. Lance was there, his hands on his hips with a fake smile. It was almost convincing. Yeah. Lance showed his hand. Showed him his hand. Lance McLean, red paladin of Voltron. Keith took his hand and shook it, stopping from him, pulling him into a hug or kiss. York. Lance looked down at the boy and crouched down. Lance didn't know right in front of him was his son and boyfriend. Hey, little guy, what's your name? The boy saluted at him. Alex, Keith interrupted him. Alex Konganex. Alex looked at his dad in confusion, but he expressed was unreadable behind that mask. Lance smiled, and it was almost genuine to see a little boy in space all like that saluting him. Lance looked up at Keith. The mask. Keith didn't want to. He really didn't want to. But he also didn't want to look suspicious. He took off his mask. Lance saw in front of him was definitely a Gara. Keith shift into his Gara form, but made a few alternatives. He had big ears, 2 marks on his cheeks, and 2 down his temples. His black hair was covered by the hood. Lance flinched, and Keith was worried he was recognized, but he heard him whispered to himself, all Gara has violet yellow eyes. All Gara has violet yellow eyes. Lance put his fake smile. And the little guy, Keith nodded and bent down to Alex and whispered in his ear, change to your Gara form. He made sure to use his firm voice so Alex could know he was very serious. he warned he he wanted, but a bit. Then he took off his mask, showing his young Gara boy, purple skin, violet yellow eyes, 2 marks down his temples like his father. Alternative version. Well, Alex and York, nice to meet you. I should prepare for the mission. Keith managed to say something right. I should too. Nice meeting you. When Lance left, Keith walked away calmly and took Alex to daycare himself. He was shaking and he had put on his mask back on so his tears wouldn't be noticeable. Alex was dropped off and Keith went to his room, buried his face in pillow and sobbed. It was going to be a long day. Ads!
Hi! Hi! Good morning!
Yeah, Wattpad has ads. No one cares about your ads. It's doing this fucking ad. I can't believe it. I don't care if it needs I'm going to update. I don't give a shit at this point. No one cares. TikTok. I already have TikTok. I think I'm just going to post a part 2 of the 900 subscriber special, I guess. So, yeah. Because my throat really hurts. So, I see you all next time. Have a great time. And stay wild. Bye.